Have you ever reached a point in your life, maybe late at night when the house is quiet, where you look around and realize you can't truly rely on anyone, not even your own family? It's one of the hardest truths we face as we get older, isn't it? That the support system we took for granted starts to shift or shrink, or in some cases, disappear altogether. Our children, bless their hearts, get wrapped up in their own busy lives with jobs and kids of their own. Our friends move away to be closer to their grandkids. They fall ill or they pass on. And suddenly, you're left with that quiet, heavy question that sits in your heart. Who's really in my corner? Now, that question can hit you like a ton of bricks if you aren't ready for it. But what if I told you that this fear is actually the first step toward a more powerful, more peaceful life? As a family doctor who has spent over 30 years listening to the private worries of people in their 70s and 80s, I'm going to tell you something that might surprise you. Real, dependable support, the kind that brings you true peace, often doesn't come from family. And I'm not talking about a theory from some textbook. This comes from seeing real people in real situations. I'm thinking of a 78-year-old gentleman I know named Arthur, who found more strength and independence in his simple daily walk than he did from his weekly phone calls. His story, well, it completely changed the way I think about aging. This video isn't about blaming anyone, it's about empowering you. We're going to walk through the 5 true pillars of support that you can build for yourself, starting today. These are the supports that are quiet, they are powerful, and they will never, ever let you down. And please make sure you stay with me for all 5 because the last one we'll discuss, what I call a personal code of values, is the one that anchors your very soul. It's what allows you to face anything, and I mean anything, with dignity. It's the most powerful one of all. Everything I'm sharing with you today isn't just my opinion. It's based on decades of real conversations, real stories, and observations from my practice. This is about real life, not just what you read on medical charts. So, before we dive in, I truly want to know how many of us have felt this way. If that quiet fear of having to rely only on yourself feels familiar, if you've ever had that thought late at night, please just take a moment and comment a simple yes below. It lets me know I'm not just talking into a camera, and more importantly, it shows others right here in our community that they are not alone in this feeling. Okay, let's get started. Number 1, physical mobility. Alright, let's talk about our first pillar, physical mobility. Now, one of the most common and dangerous myths I hear in my office is the idea that feeling stiff and weak is just a normal part of getting older that we simply have to accept. We start to avoid reaching for that top shelf, or we decide not to take that extra lap around the grocery store. We tell ourselves it's just easier that way. But this, my friends, is a dangerous mistake. It's a quiet surrender that can cost us the very thing we value most, our independence. You see, your body operates on a very simple, very strict rule. Use it or lose it. It's not a suggestion. It's a biological law. When you stop moving regularly, your muscles, which have served you faithfully for decades, begin to get weaker. Your joints, which used to move so freely, start to feel stiff and achy. But more importantly, and please listen closely to this, your sense of balance starts to fade. And that, my friends, is the #1 cause of dangerous, life-altering falls in seniors. It's a slow, silent process that robs you of your confidence, one small decision at a time. Here's the hard truth. As we age, that use it or lose it cycle happens much, much faster. A week of inactivity when you're 30 is nothing. You bounce right back. But a week of inactivity when you're 75? That can be the beginning of a slide toward losing your independence. Your body doesn't bounce back as quickly. It takes more effort to regain what was lost, which is why maintaining it is so critical. So let me ask you this. Does getting out of a low chair, maybe your favorite armchair, feel like a real chore these days? Do you find yourself saying no to outings with friends or family because you're worried you can't keep up? That's not just your age talking, that is your mobility shrinking. It's a direct symptom of that use it or lose it principle in action, a quiet warning sign that your foundation is becoming less stable. This reminds me so much of my patient Arthur, the 78-year-old gentleman I mentioned earlier. Arthur walks with a cane, and his steps aren't as steady as they used to be, but he walks in the park every single morning, rain or shine. I asked him once what kept him so dedicated. He stopped, leaned on his cane, and looked me right in the eye. He said, "Doc, the moment I stop walking is the moment I start waiting for someone to help me, and I don't want to wait. I want to live." His mobility isn't perfect, but it's his. He owns it. And that ownership gives him peace and power that no amount of help from others ever could. He still drives himself to the store. He still meets his buddies for coffee. He is in control. And the science backs this up completely. Study after study published in journals of gerontology has shown, time and again, that something as simple as 15 minutes of daily walking can significantly improve balance, strengthen leg muscles, and drastically reduce the risk of falls in seniors. It is, quite literally, one of the most powerful anti-aging tools we have. So please hear me on this. Do not wait for a doctor to prescribe it. Prescribe it for yourself. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is simple. Start with a 10-minute walk every single day. It can be around your living room if the weather is bad. The goal isn't distance, it's consistency. This is the first and perhaps most important step in building a life you can rely on. It is the best medicine for freedom. Number 2, financial simplicity. Now, let's move to our second pillar, one that causes more silent anxiety than almost any other: financial simplicity. We often think that having more money equals more security, but in my 30 years of practice, I can tell you I've seen far more sleepless nights caused by financial clutter than by the actual amount in the bank account. I'm talking about the stress of juggling multiple credit cards, trying to decipher confusing statements, and dealing with those sneaky subscription charges that seem to pop up out of nowhere. This isn't just a minor inconvenience, it's a genuine health issue. From a medical standpoint, financial complexity creates a state of chronic, low-grade stress. It keeps your cortisol levels, your body's main stress hormone, slightly elevated all the time. This affects everything from your sleep quality to your blood pressure. Your brain is constantly in the background trying to keep track of everything, and that mental energy is being stolen from your ability to experience joy and peace. It's like trying to drive a car with the emergency brake slightly engaged all the time. You can do it, but you're burning yourself out. The reason this becomes so much more critical as we get older is that our tolerance for this kind of mental clutter naturally decreases. The complex budget that was once manageable at 55 now feels utterly overwhelming at 75. This feeling of being overwhelmed often leads to a deep-seated, nagging fear. Will I run out of money? Or what if there's a bill I forgot about? It's a fear that can paralyze you. So how does this show up in your daily life? Ask yourself honestly, do you dread opening the mail, worried you'll find another complicated bill? Do you put off looking at your bank statements for weeks at a time? That feeling of avoidance, that little knot in your stomach, is a red flag. It's your mind's way of telling you that your financial life is too complicated and is causing you harm. I'll never forget my neighbor Carol, a wonderful 74-year-old widow. After her husband passed, she was left with a tangle of different accounts and investments. She told me she was so scared to even open the mail. So, she took a brave step. She sat down with a simple financial advisor and made a plan to simplify everything. She downsized to a smaller, more manageable home. She consolidated her accounts. She kept one credit card for emergencies and got rid of the rest. She even started a small savings jar on her counter, which she called her rainy day fund. She'd only put $10 or $20 in it from time to time. She told me, "It's not about the amount. It's about seeing it there and knowing I'm in charge." And the best part, she said, "I used to be afraid of the mailman. Now I open every envelope with a clear head and a calm heart." What she found wasn't riches, it was peace. So, here is your very simple, very powerful action step. This weekend, I want you to take one small step, just one. Identify one single subscription or recurring charge you no longer truly need or use. It could be a magazine, a streaming service, anything, and then cancel it. The goal isn't to save a fortune overnight. The goal is to feel the power of taking back control. You don't need to be a financial wizard. You just need to be the captain of your own ship. Simplify it, and you will give yourself one of the greatest gifts imaginable: a quiet mind. Number 3, a consistent health routine. Let's discuss the third pillar of a strong, independent life, and it's one that puts the power directly back into your hands every single morning. I'm talking about a consistent health routine. So many people make the mistake of waiting for a health crisis before they start paying attention to their bodies. They wait for the bad diagnosis, the sudden fall, or the scary test results. That's like waiting for a thunderstorm to start before you decide to fix the leaky roof. It's a life lived in reactive crisis mode, and it's exhausting. A consistent routine flips that script completely. It puts you in charge. It is proactive. I'm not talking about running a marathon or following some complicated diet. I'm talking about the small, steady, almost boring actions that you repeat every single day. The act of taking your medications at the same time. The ritual of doing a few simple stretches while the coffee brews. The habit of drinking a full glass of water first thing in the morning. These small things, when done consistently, create a powerful rhythm of self-respect. Here's why this is so crucial. After 70, as we age, our bodies lose some of their natural resilience. We don't bounce back from neglect as easily. A single night of bad sleep can throw off the whole next day. Forgetting to take blood pressure medication can have immediate consequences. A consistent routine acts as a stable framework, a protective scaffolding around your health. It minimizes the chances for error and creates a predictable environment in which your body can thrive. It reduces decision fatigue. You don't have to wonder if you should take your walk. You just do it because it's what you do at 9 a.m. The symptoms of a lack of routine are subtle but profound. Do you often feel adrift during the day, unsure of what to do next? Do you find yourself forgetting your medications or meals? Do you feel like your energy is unpredictable, high one moment and gone the next? These are often signs not of old age itself, but of a life without rhythm, without the grounding force of a simple daily routine. I think of my patient Walter, an 81-year-old former electrician. Every morning, like clockwork, he has a routine. At 6 a.m., he makes a cup of tea. He does 15 minutes of simple chair stretches he learned from a TV program. He takes his morning pills. Then he goes for a walk around his block, rain or shine. I asked him once why he was so disciplined about it. He smiled and said something I'll never forget. He said, "Doc, it's not really about the exercise anymore. It's about telling myself every single morning that I still matter, that I'm worth taking care of." For Walter, his routine isn't about fitness. It's about his identity. It's his daily declaration of self-worth. And when you have that routine, you naturally become less dependent on others. You're less likely to need your son or daughter to call and remind you to take your pills. You're less likely to have the kinds of accidents that come from inconsistency. So, your action step here is to start incredibly small. Don't try to build a whole new routine overnight. Just choose one thing, one single action. Maybe it's drinking one full glass of water when you wake up or doing 5 minutes of stretching before bed. Do that one thing every single day for a week. That's it. You're not just building a habit. You're building a foundation. You are proving to yourself day by day that you are your own best caregiver, and that is a support system that no one can ever take away from you. Number 4, emotional resilience. This next pillar is perhaps the least visible, but it is, without a doubt, the strongest. It's what holds everything else together when times get tough. Let's talk about building emotional resilience. We often think that strength in our later years is about having a healthy body or a full bank account. But I have seen people with both of those things crumble under the weight of loneliness or grief. True strength, the kind that allows you to weather any storm, comes from the heart. It's about your ability to feel deeply, but not be drowned by those feelings. The mistake many people make is believing that being emotionally resilient means you don't feel sad or angry or lonely, that you have to put on a brave face all the time. That is absolutely not true. In fact, it's the opposite. Emotional resilience is the capacity to sit with difficult feelings, to acknowledge them and say, "This hurts, but I can handle it," and then to let them pass through you without letting them take root and build a permanent home inside you. It's the difference between being in a storm and being the storm. As we get older, this skill becomes essential, not just optional. Life by this stage has guaranteed us a full curriculum of loss. We lose spouses, we lose friends, we lose physical abilities, we lose the roles that once defined us. If our emotional well-being depends on everything staying the same, we are setting ourselves up for constant pain. Our bodies become more fragile with age, and so our emotional core must become stronger and more flexible to compensate. It must become our primary source of stability. What are the symptoms of low emotional resilience? It's feeling like your entire day is ruined if your son doesn't call when he promised. It's falling into a deep funk for weeks after a friend moves away. It's a constant sense of bitterness or victimhood about the changes that come with aging. It's being so afraid of feeling pain that you close yourself off from new experiences and new people altogether. It's when your emotional world becomes very, very small. I learned the greatest lesson on this from a woman named Margaret, 77 years old, whose husband of 50 years had passed away. The loneliness was, in her words, a physical weight on her chest. I asked her how she got through the evenings, which were the hardest. She told me she started a small ritual. Every night before bed, she lights a single candle. She said, "Some nights I just sit and cry. Other nights I remember a funny story and laugh out loud to an empty room. But no matter what, I sit with that flame for a few minutes. It reminds me that even in the dark, there's still light. It's my way of honoring the pain without letting it swallow me whole." That simple act, that is resilience in its purest form. So, how do you build this? Your action is not to stop feeling, but to start noticing. The next time you feel a wave of sadness or frustration, don't immediately try to distract yourself. Just stop, take a breath, and say to yourself, This is sadness. I am feeling sad right now. By naming it, you separate yourself from it just a little bit. You are the person experiencing the feeling, not the feeling itself. Practice this small act of awareness. It is the first step in learning how to hold your own sorrow without it breaking you. It's how you become a safe harbor for yourself, steady and strong, no matter how rough the seas get. Number 5, a personal code of values. We've arrived at our 5th and final pillar, and just as I promised, this one is the anchor for your soul. It's the internal compass that keeps you steady when everything else in the world is shifting. I'm talking about creating and living by a personal code of values. For most of our lives, our identity is tied to our roles. We are a parent, a spouse, an engineer, a teacher, a nurse. These roles come with a built-in set of expectations that guide our actions. But what happens when you retire, the children are grown, or a spouse is gone? Those external guideposts disappear, and it can leave you feeling lost, wondering, who am I now? This is where so many people falter. They look outside of themselves for a sense of purpose, waiting for someone else to give them a reason to get up in the morning. But the most peaceful and dignified seniors I have ever known look inward. They are guided not by a role, but by a simple, clear set of personal rules for living, a personal code. Why does this become so profoundly important in our later years? Because it makes you independent of other people's opinions and actions. Your peace of mind no longer depends on whether someone approves of you, or calls you, or validates you. Your self-worth comes from a much deeper place, knowing that you are living your life in a way that is true to you. This internal validation is unshakable. When you have a personal code, you stop being a leaf blown about by the winds of circumstance, and you become the tree itself, deeply rooted. The symptom of not having a clear code is a feeling of aimlessness. It's feeling easily rattled or offended by what other people say or do. It's a constant feeling of looking for something, but not knowing what it is. It's making decisions based on what you think will please others, rather than what you believe is right. It's a life that feels flimsy. I once met an 82-year-old man named Robert at a community breakfast. He wasn't wealthy or famous, but he had a kind of quiet dignity that was magnetic. I asked him his secret. He chuckled and said, "It's no secret. I just have 5 simple rules. Number 1, speak the truth, but always with kindness. Number 2, never waste food. Number 3, always return a borrowed thing in better condition than you received it. Number 4, forgive fast, because holding a grudge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. And number 5, end every day with a clear conscience." He lived by that code. It was his compass. It made all of his decisions simple. He knew who he was. So, your final and perhaps most meaningful action step is one of reflection. This week, take out a piece of paper. You don't have to show it to anyone. At the top, write, "What I believe in." Then just try to write down 3 things. Just 3 rules that you want to guide your life. It could be curious, or show compassion, or leave things better than you found them. It doesn't matter how simple they are. What matters is that they are yours. This isn't just an exercise. This is the act of building your own internal support structure, a foundation of character that will hold you up with quiet, faithful strength when everything else around you changes. It is the ultimate source of peace because it comes from the one person you can always, always count on, yourself. Conclusion. As we wrap up our time together, I want you to think back to the beginning of our talk, back to that quiet, universal fear of being left to fend for yourself when you need help the most. The people we've talked about today, Arthur with his daily walk of independence, Carol finding peace in a simplified checkbook, Walter greeting each morning with a routine that told him he still mattered, Margaret lighting a candle against the darkness of grief, and Robert walking tall, guided by his own simple rules for life, they all faced that same quiet fear, but they didn't wait for a rescuer. They didn't wait for their children or their friends to build a world for them. They did something far more powerful. They became their own foundation. After all these years as a doctor, the most profound lesson I have learned from my patients is this. The most reliable support system you will ever have is not a person. It is a practice. It is the small things you do for yourself, day in and day out, that build a life of dignity, strength, and peace. But knowledge, my friends, is only powerful when we put it into action. So now I have one important question for you, and it's the most important one today. What is the one commitment you are making to yourself after watching this video? It doesn't have to be big. It could be as simple as, I will take a 10-minute walk tomorrow morning, or I will cancel one subscription I don't use, or even, I will write down just one of my personal values. There is no answer that is too small. Please share your personal commitment in the comments below. Reading your promises is what inspires me, and your commitment will surely inspire someone else in our community to take that first brave step. And if you found real value and inspiration in our time together today, please show your support by giving this video a like. It truly helps. To ensure you continue on this journey with us and never miss another video full of this kind of life-changing wisdom, hit that subscribe button and the little bell next to it. It's more than just subscribing. It's joining a community dedicated to living our best and strongest lives together. Finally, think of one person, just one person, in your life who might need to hear this message today. Please share it with them. An act of sharing that takes you 5 seconds might just change their life. Thank you for watching. Take good care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.